Hello everyone, Michael O'Brien here. I wanted to do a really quick little video. Danny Goldsmith actually posted something on his Facebook not too long ago. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can not only check out the original post, but also check out some of Danny's work too. If you guys haven't heard of him, one of the best coinsmiths in the world right now. Just such beautiful handling when it comes to coin stuff. And an overall, just really nice, kind, and giving person anyway. Really cool guy. I support his stuff and I recommend you guys go check it out. But he made a post kind of sharing a story, something that happened to him in his younger days when he was out busking. And long story short, one day when he was doing his show, he had a heckler, whether the guy was drunk or not, I don't know, just basically slapped a deck of cards out of his hand and the cards went all over the place. And in his head, he was just thinking like, wow, that was really rude. But okay, I guess, I'll pick up the cards and continue on. And in the back of his mind, he was thinking, well, surely the rest of my audience is, just as appalled as I am, and maybe someone might help me come over and pick up the cards. But instead of that, the audience just left, just walked away, and the ones that did stick around just sat there and waited for him to pick up his cards. And he said that affected him because not the fact that happened, not the fact that the cards got knocked on the floor, but the fact that he was telling himself, why did no one feel compelled to help me out, right? I must not have been connecting with my audience. So it's not so much that people are rude or mean or whatever. It's more like they didn't really care, because in their head they're just like, whatever, like the magician was trying to show us some tricks and someone knocked him out of his hand, and so oh, sucks to be the magician, I guess. And then that was kind of the end of it. So the moral of the story was that Danny went on this journey in his mind to try to figure out why he wasn't connecting with his audience. I highly recommend you guys check out the original post. That way I'm not butchering it. So you guys can read it all in its entirety. And you can read the link that goes along with his post as well. He wrote a whole article on all of this stuff. And again, just check out his work in general, especially if you're looking to learn some coin stuff. I highly recommend it. But the reason I'm talking about this is because I wanted to discuss the difference between performing at an audience and performing with an audience, right? As magicians, sometimes we have a tendency to perform at an audience, right? And what that does is that puts up a wall between the performer and the audience, right? The beautiful thing about magic is it's not like going and watching a play or a musical where you're just kind of passively sitting in the audience and watching this production be put on in front of you. The beautiful thing about magic is it's a very interactive art form. You can interact with your audience, right? So the way that I look at it is that a magician is sitting inside of a bubble, okay? And there's two ways you can go about performing. You can either perform for the people outside of the bubble, or you can grab people and bring them into the bubble with you, right? Now, what do I mean by this? I know this is all starting to sound very mystical and all that stuff, right? So all I'm talking about is rather than just performing at people, rather than just doing tricks for people, and rather than just trying to fool people, you want to bring them along in this magical journey with you. And there's some ways that you can do that, which are very simple. Audience participation, bringing people in, having people hold props, examine things, right? Having people be the ones to do the magic themselves. That's why I love sponge balls so much. And that's why I love coin magic so much, because oftentimes you can have the magic happen in their hands, or even with a deck of cards, right? But sponge balls, in my opinion, is just so great at doing this. This is why this is my opener. I reach in, I pull out a sponge ball out of my purse frame, some shenanigans start happening with the red balls, and then there's this moment. Spectator A is standing to my left, spectator B is standing to my right. They are both holding onto a red ball and they both have their hands out. I take a step back and I pretend to pass the ball from one person's hand to the other. This person opens their hand and now the ball is gone. This person opens their hand and now they have two. But really what's happened is I have just taken both of these people and they did the magic between each other. All I did was help facilitate it. So I'm actually able to fade like Homer Simpson into the bushes, right? While these two are absorbing the applause and absorbing the reaction, right? They're reacting to the magic that just happened in their own hands, but they also get that moment where they can respond and react to the audience now that is clapping for them, right? So what I've just done is I just brought these two people into my bubble with me, and they have experienced a part of this journey with me, right? I could very easily have just had no one come up with me, have everyone sat in the audience and be like, look, one red ball goes over here, another red ball goes over here, I wiggle my thumbs, it vanishes from this hand, and it arrives in this hand, leaving me with two. Could have easily done that, right? But by making the ball transfer from one person's hand to another person's hand, essentially what you're doing is having them be the star of the show, right? And if you can find as many different ways throughout your act to do this and bring these people on a magical journey with you, you're going to connect on a deeper level with your audience. It's not just you performing at them, right? Another example of this is the ambitious card routine. For those of you who are not aware, and if you're not, let me tell you, the ambitious card routine is probably one of the most overdone pieces of card magic because it is a really powerful tool, right? I'm not belittling it at all. I use ambitious card in pretty much every act that I do when I'm using a deck of cards. So what the trick is at its heart is you have a card chosen from the deck, the spectator can sign it, it's lost in the deck, you snap your fingers and it arrives to the top. And it happens over and over again under test conditions, right? But one of my favorite moments during the routine is I say, I don't want you to think I'm doing that sleight of hand stuff. In fact, I'm not the only one that can do it. You can even do it yourself. Do you believe me? They'll say yes or no. And I'll go, watch, I'll prove it to you. Here's the deck. Go ahead and take the top half of the cards. We'll place your card into the deck. Place the cards back. Here's the deck. You can go ahead and do the magic move, and they can do whatever they want, snap their fingers, anything like that. Go ahead and turn over the top card. As they're turning the top card, my Homer Simpson moment again, where I fade into the bushes in the back, and they show everyone the card on the top, and now they are absorbing the reaction and the applause, right? The more of these moments that you can incorporate into your act, the better it's going to be. Now, you don't necessarily have to have volunteers from the audience come up with you to do this. It could be as simple as reaching out to the audience, especially when you have someone back in the nosebleeds, as they say, in the cheap seats. You can have someone, hey, we're going to have a card chosen. Sir, would you like to use a red card or a black card? Black card, perfect. You missed right here in the red dress. We already decided we're going to use black cards. Of those, you have the spades and the clubs. Which would you like to use, the spades or the clubs? The clubs? Perfect. All right. You, young man in the Yankees hat, did you want to use a number card or a picture card? And they choose. All right. So we have a black club picture card now. And then you can have one last spectator. Do you want to use the jack, queen, or king of clubs? The king of clubs, perfect. And then you go on to do magic with the king of clubs, have it revealed, or whatever, right? And essentially what you've done is you've had multiple people in the audience be part of this. So now everything that you're going to do with that king of clubs now is it's going to feel like specific people in the audience have a personal connection to that because they were involved in the actual selection process. So there is a bunch of different things that you can do in order to do this, and they don't necessarily involve having to bring people up and have them stand next to you and to do the magic. You can even interact with people on a personal level while they're inside the audience. It can even be as simple as this. What is your name, sir? David. What do you do for a living, David? Awesome, you're an electrical engineer. That is so cool. David, do me a favor. I want you to think of any number. All right, what number were you thinking of? 32? Perfect. And then you go on to do, I don't know, something with a deck of cards, and the card that they named is at the 32nd position or something, right? Stuff like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like bringing people up in the audience to volunteer with you. It could just be connecting with people, or maybe even just like making a one-off comment to someone in the audience like, sir, I just absolutely love your hat. Like, that is such a really cool newsboy hat. I just wanted to say that I love it. Anyways, and then you go back into like what you're doing, right? Sometimes as magicians, we forget the sense of wonder that comes from watching magic isn't from watching it from afar, but from experiencing it, right? From being part of it. This is why I love close-up magic so much specifically, because pretty much everyone in my audience is involved at some point in my routine, whether it be, here, can you hold out your hand and do this? Can you name a card for me? Can you choose a number for me? Which deck did you want to use, the red deck or the blue deck, right? It doesn't matter. Just getting as many people involved as possible is really going to help you to build that connection with the audience. Once you've connected with the audience, right, this is going to prevent people from heckling you, because they're not going to feel like it's the magician versus the audience. I'm not here just to make you feel stupid. I'm here to make you guys feel like part of this. You guys are part of the show. You guys are the stars of the show. I'm just the facilitator. I'm just El Maestro that's conducting this band, right? And you guys are all part of this band, and we're going to make music together, right? So that's kind of what this whole thing feels like, at least for me, right? Now, maybe your character is quick-witted and sarcastic. That's totally fine, but you still want to find ways to bring the audience in. If your whole act is just making people feel stupid, or showing that you have a lot of skill and that no one else can do this, and don't even try it because I'm going to get it right and you're going to get it wrong, that's the kind of wall that you're putting up between yourself and your audience that's going to create this sort of disconnect where, it's like when you're watching a movie and the protagonist is down in his luck, but you can identify with the protagonist and you want them to succeed. That's what makes a good movie, right? If you don't identify with the protagonist and you don't care about them and you don't care about their struggle and you don't care about whether or not they succeed, why would you care when that random guy comes and slaps that deck of cards out of your hand, right? But had Danny connected with his audience in that performance, had he had all of his audience reeled in and hooked and super excited about what was going to happen next with that deck of cards, and that guy slapped the deck out of his hand, the rest of the audience would have been pissed at that guy, because now they just ruined what they were so excited to see because they were so drawn in and they wanted to know what was going to happen next. And since Danny is such a nice guy and he connected to everyone, chances are people probably would have shunned that guy, gotten him out of the performance area, helped Danny to collect his cards, and encouraged him to continue on. Now, obviously, I wasn't there, so I couldn't say whether or not that would have actually happened. But I could say with confidence that if you're connecting with your audience on that kind of an emotional level, they want you to succeed. They don't want you to fail, right? If your audience is expecting you to get it wrong or to fail, then you're not doing something right in your performance, in my opinion. And you need to reevaluate exactly what it is that you're doing. Are you performing at your audience, or are you reeling them in, bringing them into your bubble, bringing them into your space, and sharing this magical journey with them? That's my question of the day to you is, what can you do to bring your audience in and share this magical experience with them? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, make sure to click the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. That way you'll know every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to check out some more magic, visit us at obrienmagic.com and be sure to check out our online magic shop, where you will find the latest and greatest magic books, downloads, and accessories.